Look, I know I just made a vest, and I was doing a different project, but guess what we're making now? Yes, that's right, another vest. Hello, it's Icy. I am back. Yes, the Victorian project is going kind of, well, not on hold, because the vest I plan to make should work with a Victorian outfit, but Halloween is fast approaching. It is now the late September when I'm recording this. I've had no sewing at all for like a couple of weeks because things have been busy and I've not been 100% well, but I saw a Rachel Maskey video where she painted books on a vest and it looked amazing, and I went, oh my god, now I need myself a vest with books. I am not an artist in that way, so painting books is no. So I went off to see if I could find some material that had a bunch of bookshelves and stuff on it. I only found one and it wasn't going to work, but what I did find while looking in a fantastic shop online called Voodoo Rabbit Fabrics, link in the description, hashtag not sponsored, but hashtag absolutely love the place, was this really fantastic spooky house panel. How good is this? So I bought this with the idea of making the back of the vest out of this. The front is just going to be really plain stretch sateen, so that I can kind of wear it modern, or I can take it to sort of history bounding Victorian, or just kind of spooky Victorian, which of course is a fantastic look. So yeah, it's going to be so cool. Now, the original plan was to use this pattern that I developed for this vest. I have done some preliminary investigations. I put together the I still had the bits of the muslin for this, the non-stretch muslin around, and I sewed that back together and remade a new sort of side panel and put it on and did the whole thing, and I looked at it and went, you know what? This is not going to work in non-stretch. In stretch, I think it looks fantastic. In non-stretch, it was like, oh no, I can't, no, this is not working. So what I've decided to do is to, rather than mucking around with a muslin that is only kind of works and only in the right material, I decided that I'm actually going to make me a block, like a proper fitted to my measurements block. One sec. Because of course I didn't have the book ready. I am experimenting, or going to try using this book, which is mirrored, but this is Winifred Aldrich's 6th edition metric pattern cutting for women's wear. It has some good reviews about the process for actually like laying it out, where it's like start at 0, measure down, you know, the back of your neck measurement to 0.1, and then across to the shoulder, and etc., etc. It's got a whole section on how to measure yourself, and it's got a whole section on basically, I've gone through and like marked some things. There's your standard block, and then it's got a separate section for adding like waist shaping and stuff. I have seen some reviews of people trying out patterns from this online, and they liked the process. That they said it ended up making something that was a bit too big. So we see how this goes, I think. But the plan for this video is to end up with a beautifully fitted sloper, actually, not a block. So a properly fitted, skin tight, non-stretch, perfectly fitted top. I won't worry about the skirts and things, and maybe I'll do those another time. But yeah, I don't even need sleeves at this point. I just want a sleeveless, perfectly fitted top that I can then use to make a vest pattern out of. So the thing I went for the vest pattern is still that very dramatic back shape that this has got, where it's very kind of scooped in and sort of tailored into the back, because I really like that, and that lends to that kind of Victorian feel. So I ultimately do want to end up with a pattern that looks like that. If I can rig it so I can still have single side panels that go all the way across, if I can get like enough shaping into these seams, I'll do that. But so anyway, this is kind of like a, let's see how this pattern block making, metric pattern cutting for women's wear goes, and can I get a good looking muslin out of it? Let's see what happens. So let me have a quick chat about the drawing up the pattern. The lighting is a bit weird because it's nighttime and I'm just working off slightly more flattering light than the overhead one here. Okay, so something I kind of knew because I'd seen somebody else's review of this pattern book and they drew up the patterns from it and they said it was too big. It is definitely drawing up a block pattern, i.e. not a sloper, so there is ease built into the steps that you follow to draw up the pattern, and there's a lot of ease built into it. The original publishing date is 1988, and yes, it sure feels like an 80s pattern for the amount of room that was in there. So I did all the drawing up, and then I looked at the shape of the arm's eye and went, why is that so weirdly wide? And then I did a quick, measure across the body, measure across the pattern, etc., and realized it's about that much, about 7 centimeters too much, like here underneath. So, and about 5 centimeters too much at the hip. So I've like literally shunk a giant wedge out of it. And that has worked, honestly, really, really well. So that's taken it from, I confirmed my measurement by like measuring the remainder of the arm's eye and then like looping it around here just to check. And you can see it's fine. It's fine. So I'm not sure what I did, but the waistline here, this is meant to be at the top hip. So what I've done is I've repinned out the curved darts so they actually sit flat into the back. And I've done the same on the side, not on the front. I think the front will be okay. I think that'll, maybe I'll pin out a little bit, but I think it's okay. I've pinned up the front. You can see there's just a bit, there's like about 1 centimeter too much room at the front of the neck. So what I'll do is redo these top darts to actually pull that volume out, basically. So pull that out so that actually sits cleaner up the front. The other thing I might do, like now in the mock-up draft sloper design phase, is I might actually move these neck seams, which is an odd choice, like at least to match up with these shoulder ones. Do I need the shoulder ones? I don't have any patterns that have like little shoulder darts like that. I mean, admittedly, I am a little bit round backed, so like round shouldered, so perhaps that's actually a good thing. I haven't had a look at the spinning video I've just recorded prior, so I'll evaluate that before I decide if what I'm doing with that. But all the measurements have worked quite well. Now, one other thing with the pattern is, yes, the bust point is way low. So it's saying the bust point is like down here, and then it's like, no, no, that's not. I did look on the pattern and go, oh, that doesn't look right. I did a quick measurement from top of the shoulder to the end of the bust point, but what I should have done was measure from here to here and gone, and then I would have realized that it was wrong and probably could have changed it on the first pattern before I'd actually cut it out. So bust point needs to move up by probably like, what is it, about 4 centimeters, which means that these darts will get unpicked and resewn, and these ones will need to, not sure, the bottom ones will need to come up a little bit, and I actually think, just from the way my body is made, these will need to tuck in a lot more just under the bust. So they'll just need to be slightly more dramatic, I think. And then that's okay. So for a first muslin, surprisingly fine. So yeah, if you're looking for a system to draft from scratch, I'm assuming the waistline thing is just me reading something wrong and doing something wrong. I don't know with that, but that's okay. We can work with it. For a drafting from scratch pattern, yes, if you take into account it's made in the 80s and you're getting a block pattern out of it and not a sloper, yeah, it was fine. It was fine. So yeah, very few changes needed. So that's the plan. So basically I'll draw them up on the muslin, transfer it to the paper if I can. I'll probably need to draw new front ones at the very least, and then we go from there. Amazing. I've made 2 patterns in 2 months for the first time ever. I'm so happy. Okay, so it's all done. All the changes are in. I've sewed it all together properly. I've also added hips because I had not actually tested that before, just because I did something weird with the measurement, and like where I thought it should have been sitting at the hip, it was the waist, whatever. Anyway, I've added in the hip section. I've actually forgotten to sew, I've just realized I've forgotten to sew this bottom section here, but it's all fine and it's all good and it's kind of great. maybe I could have just a smidge more room in the bust. But I think the other thing that's going to happen is when so I've drawn, as you saw just then, I've changed these darts at the top to actually be off to the side, which is a much more reasonable kind of cut for today, as opposed to the late 1980s even. So I think that will be fine. So I made a sloper. So we're gonna have another vest video as I take the sloper and turn it back into a pattern. So that will be another challenge. So basically the idea will be, in much the same way as the original stretch version, I'm going to be taking it curved in, across the seams, down the bust and down the front, same at the back. I think I should probably be able to turn the side into, I think I should be able to turn this side panel into a single panel, because there's very little curving, like on my body. There's like, I go like straight and then I go out over the hips. It's not like kind of, there's no S-ing going on. So I think that should be an option. But thank you so much for joining me for yet another vest video. To be honest, I've realized that this has become a series. So we are jumping out of the Edward late Victorian and into the vest series, because we have a sloper. Then next is to make a Halloween vest using the material that I showed you earlier. And then after that, I have plans for something special. I might drop back into the, not Elizabethan, I'm sure that will be a project one day, the Victorian project for a little bit in between. But I have something special planned for the final vest, pretty much. But thank you very much for joining me here on YouTube. I appreciate it. If you haven't, please do throw me a follow. Videos here on this channel every 2 weeks or thereabouts. But you can also find me. All the links are below. I am elsewhere on the internet and more frequently than here. But I have so much time for sewing and I spend it doing this and I freaking love it. So thank you. Let me know what you're making right now, because I am curious. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.